Interesting. Okay, let's do this. Hey! Ladies and gentlemen, we started off the stream with a huge piece of information. I can tell you officially that Mr. Wankstock has sent us $3. Hi, I'm Mr. Wankstock, and I approve this message. I was forced to read that out, so there it is. Thanks for the tube shot, man. Appreciate the support. WS. I always wonder if it's the same guy who comes back in like pseudonyms. You know, there's somebody who always comes in the super chat. One time he was a different version of Tate every time. Do you reckon it's the same guy? This mysterious Scarlet Pimpernel type character. Gareth in the house. I can imagine that was worth it, to be fair. That's true. That's true, I was, yeah. Let's go to something a bit more night driving. Is that what we want? Do you want night driving? Is this what we want? No, I think we want to feed the ducks, to be honest. It's more chilled. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to the official Good Vibes stream. Today is Wednesday, the 31st of May, 2023, and we are live, ladies and gentlemen. The time is 8 minutes past 8. That is an incredible time. 8 minutes past 8 is fantastic time. Here he is. I'm real. I live a pretty easy life. Oh man, you got the avatar. That's funny, man. One thing I do like about YouTube is you do get the little, you can bring up, I love the StreamYard mechanic where I can highlight somebody's chat and put it on the screen. You know, that is such a good feature that it makes me want to stream on YouTube because you can't use this feature on Rumble, you know? So if I could use this feature on Rumble, I would do my Good Vibes streams on Rumble. But for some reason, Rumble's not compatible with it. No, you can't do this on Rumble. When you stream through StreamYard on Rumble, you can't have the little chatbot thing, you know? And I think this is such a cool mechanic. Okay, let me try some different Try some chilled music. I do prefer that. There we go. Better. So here we are, folks. Here we are. We're live on YouTube. What can we possibly talk about here? Gardening, polytunnels, cutlery, um, pots and pans we can probably talk about, unless there's a new terms and conditions come out. Farmyard animals, I think. Some of them anyway. Lemons? Sure, we can talk about lemons. Listen, what have you done? The audio's gone pants. I haven't done anything. You sure the audio's gone pants? My, uh, my screen says different. My audio sounds like it's okay. How's the audio for everyone else? Sometimes when one person says the audio's crap or something, I do like a full audio check, and then it's like just that person. Your mic sounds bad again. Oh no, really? The audio is off. Right, fine. Oh, jeez. Does it sound like too loud, or what does it sound like? Shouldn't sound that bad. Audio is crap. It happened when you switched off the background music. Really? Wait up. So since I switched off the background music, let me see. Oh yeah, I'm just checking. Oh yeah, it's rubbish. Sounds sounds a bit rubbish, doesn't it? Sounds a bit. Is it better now? No, it shouldn't. Dude, it shouldn't sound that bad. It's okay now? No, that's awful, man. That's really bad. Why is that so bad? Keep talking. It's better, but it's not great. Um, no, it's still crap. That's weird. It's better? Go back to feeding the ducks. So when I do feeding the ducks, it's fine? Okay, I've turned feeding the ducks back on now. It sounds crap. Why is it so bad? Do you have auto leveling or compression on? Um, huh. It's still not good. That's so annoying. Wait, I'm gonna come out and come back in again. Hang on. Come out. Okay, I'm back. Is it any good? Back in the. Is it any good, or is it still rubbish? It's weird if it's rubbish. Is it rubbish? No, I'm not running the washing machine. It looks like we're. It looks like we're in for a tech stream. Listen, if the audio is crap, we've got to do something. You know? It's better. It's fixed. Has it got good sound now? It's really bizarre. Let me see. Okay, I've reached the point. Sounds good to me. Download Rumble? Has it got back to normal now? I've got to get to the point where I come out and come back in again. Okay. If something goes wrong with my sound or whatever, I don't know what to do. People are saying it's good now, fine. Welcome to the tech stream, ladies and gentlemen. Are we still allowed to have tech streams on YouTube, or is that banned? Have I come out and come back in again yet? Okay, I've reached the point in my test stream where I come out and come back in again. Let's see if this makes a difference. If this makes a difference, we're all good. It's workable. Hello, Rupert. Got my little cousin Rupert here. He's bashing on the glass. Oh man, it took me a while to come. Oh no, hang on a minute. Oh man. Okay, it's better now, right? Okay, it sounds a bit better now. Is it better now? I don't know. I feel like it's better, but it's not great. It has a slight distortion, but a lot better. That is so weird, man. People are saying it's okay. I would like it to be premium. No way. Other live streamers are having problems on Rumble. You're not alone. One keeps being locked out and he has 10,000 subs. Keeps being locked out? Yeah, I don't trust Rumble at all. I don't trust him at all. At all, at all, at all. No, I haven't dropped the mic lately. It's on a boom, man. It's really hard to drop this thing. WHO have officially said that the experimental solution can cause MS. Well, I never. Well, let me tell you something, Square. If that's what the World Health Organization have said, then here on YouTube, that is exactly what I also say. Whatever the World Health Organization say, that is what I say here on YouTube. Whatever they think, that is what I think. And that is because it is an official term and condition of being part of YouTube is that you have to agree with the World Health Organization. People are losing interest in Rumble. When did people really have massive interest in Rumble, you know? I mean, I'm on Rumble because there's nowhere else. There's nowhere else. People keep going, oh, BitChute, they're working on live streaming. They're working on it. It's like, dude, they've been working on it for 10 years. You know? Can't live stream on BitChute. You can't live stream Odyssey, like, piss off. At least Rumble's got an app. At least people know we're like, Odyssey? I'm not bloody doing that. There's no way I'm doing Odyssey. Exactly. Daisy says there's a war on. We use what we can. Yeah, BitChute, it's a bit too rickety for me, BitChute. You know, it's a bit scratched together. Dude, Odyssey is the worst of all of them for me. I don't know why. Twitter is now doing live streams. Yeah, well. I think I streamed on Twitter. I did like a single Twitter stream. And there was like one person in there or something. I did a little tester. It was the middle of the day, to be fair. But, you know, I've got almost 30,000 followers on Twitter. And I'm so shadow banned on Twitter. It's like, yeah, sadly, YouTube is still the best platform. Most of the rest are pants. Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. That amazing Polly video on Rumble's quite eye-opening. And the fact that they're doing like contracts with people like Russell Brand, you know. It's not a good look, is it? Ah, there it is. Jules says, I love Rumble, but can't watch anything anymore. Tried to download the app and says not available in your country. Jules, have you tried? Look, this is a reverse text stream now. Jules, have you tried a VPN? Apologies if you have tried this and you're like, yes, I have. But I went through a period where I could only get on Rumble if I turned on my VPN. And that was to do with my internet service provider, apparently, because I used to be on Sky Broadband. Apparently, they won't let you go on Rumble or something. Yeah, VPN was, but it fixed it for me. Like turning on a VPN, I could use Rumble. So I don't know if you've not tried that. That's something to try. I mean, Rumble's, it's not that bad, you know? It's all right. It's all right. But just, I don't understand why somebody can't have a chat system that's as good, if not better, than YouTube. Like, you know, they're asking us to believe that tech, like YouTube, like video streaming, is the only area where technology is going backwards. It's like YouTube came out, right? Well, in order to compete with someone, you launch a product that's better than theirs. You know what I mean? Like you come out with live streaming that's got more features. Like everyone that tries to compete with YouTube has like less features. You know, it's rubbish. Like for some reason, the chat looks like it's from the 80s. Like it doesn't need to look that like that. You know, the same thing with Odyssey. It's like I feel like they're, you know, they don't need to be that bad. I don't understand it. Sounds like Sky. They dropped Fox as they couldn't have a remotely right-leaning viewpoint getting out. It's difficult to fight against the CIA. Ain't that the truth? What do you guys think about this Philip Schofield stuff? I'll tell you what I think. You know, I can't help asking myself, like, why are they talking about it now? You know, why all of a sudden, no, Philip Schofield's a pedo. Oh, it's starting to come out slowly and surely. It's clogging up the news cycle for however long. I do think he's been rumbled and there's a lot more to come out, but it's just like, why is it coming out now? Like, what are you trying to distract us from? Yeah, I watched my old video on it the other day. Remember I did a video when he was caught cheating on his wife and he came out as gay and everyone like gave him a high five, you know? Oh, 100%. Holly knows the lot. Holly knows the lot. She's just, yeah, you don't get to be sitting next to him. You really think that the pedo cabal that runs the world, who's the people that put Schofield there in the first place, you really think they've got him sitting next to this really innocent, just salt of the earth, lovely lady who's just so kind and nice. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, he's this pedophile monster. No, she's probably, you know, exactly the same. You know? They haven't got him sitting there next to Snow White, man. Trust me. Hang on a minute. To keep everyone away from looking at the mess going on in New Zealand, let me ask you a question. What's going on in New Zealand? What have you shared, Robert? Missed the beginning of that. Get a shovel. What's up, my man? Yeah. I do wonder, this is talking about the Schofields. I do wonder if he was abused as a kid. His brother is a pedo too. What happened to them? When you see, two brothers or something, or two cousins or something, and they're both like gay pedophiles, it's like there's a really high chance that they were both interfered with as kids. That's why they both ended like two people don't just randomly end up as gay pedophiles. Somebody makes you a gay pedophile. Like if someone interferes with you as a young boy, and that's how you become like messed up in the head. So when it's like, oh, these two brothers, they're both pedos, it's like I'm almost certain. I'm not saying it's an excuse, and I'm sure the OP isn't saying it's an excuse. It's just, it's probably just and what these things often are like a demonic spirit that is cursing the family. That's why these things are passed down from father to son, etc., etc. There's like an evil spirit at work there. They need deliverance. They need Jesus. Alistair, the more you play with your hair, the more you will rip it out. Just saying. Well, I'm sure that's true. That's true. But it's kind of falling out by itself anyway, so. But it has become something of a habit. But yeah, I can't argue with your logic. The more you mess with it, the more it'll fall out. Yep. Oh yeah, thanks, Robert. Yeah, the numbers are fixed on Rumble, on YouTube. It's impossible for me to grow anywhere. I'm convinced of it. But thanks for sharing. Please do share. Please do share. I'm convinced it won't make any difference, but share up. Yeah, man. Charles and Andrew. Smash that like button, guys. I still hear YouTubers doing that one now. Like, smash that like button, hit subscribe. Really helps me when you do that. Nine million people could like this live stream. It wouldn't make one blind bit of difference. Don't ever bother liking my YouTube videos, guys. The old 300 days. Liking puts you on a watch list. But this is a good point, though. It's like that. What does, whether or not Philip Schofield is a nonce, or whether he did this or that, what difference does it make to your day-to-day life? And it doesn't. It really doesn't matter. It only serves to clog up the news cycle, you know? Does anyone else feel like they've sort of chilled out on climate change for a while, you know? I haven't heard like loads of. Maybe they're waiting for the summer to do the whole, oh my gosh, it's never been this hot ever. I guess maybe they're just sort of silently chemtrailing everyone. The chemtrails were off the charts at the weekend, man. Do you reckon people think I'm crazy because of the chemtrails thing? Also, I don't care. Like, so many people are into chemtrails now. When I was growing up, like, chemtrails was a complete, you know, only a maniac would believe in chemtrails. I wonder if there's like some clip of Joe Rogan talking about chemtrails and completely just nonsensing it. I think there is, because I remember seeing it. But is it still on the internet? Let's see. I type in Joe Rogan chemtrails. What happens? 5 years ago. Joe Rogan on chemtrails. Should we give this a go? Might as well. Here we go. Joe Rogan on chemtrails.
You're full.
Finally.
Are you ready?
I am ready. Let's do it.
So you're getting a lot of heat online from all these. It's all the flat Earth people and the chemtrail people. Those are the people that are mad at you the most.
Chemtrail
That's
people.
my specialty. Chemtrails and flat Earth.
Yeah, well, I asked people, which is this is
I don't trust this guy at all anymore. This is quite a maniacal laugh.
mad at you the most.
Yeah, that's my specialty. Chemtrails and flat Earth.
Yeah, well, I asked people, which is this is
That's one hell of a laugh, dude. One more time.
this is
Oh my gosh.
hilarious. I asked people online. I said, Mick West from Metabunk is going to be here. What would you like me to debunk? And one of the first ones was chemtrails, because you cannot debunk it. It's real. Done.
So it's framing people who think chemtrails are going on like they're idiots, like they're assholes. They're all having a good laugh at the idea that it would even be possible. Okay.
Dun dun. I would say this to anybody who thinks that has got to be the most ineffective government program of all time. Like, you ask people what they're doing by spraying things in the sky, and
Joe, they're blocking out the sun every day. What do you mean ineffective?
the number one thing they'll say is like weather control. Weather control is one.
Yeah.
Well, they don't have any fucking control of the weather, because if they did, they'd make it rain all over Santa Barbara and stop
What are you talking about?
these fires.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Oh yeah, sure. Oh,
hundreds-
that's your evidence that they're not spraying us. That, hey, they'd put out fires. We're talking about a group of people that are blocking out the sun, and you're like, well, they definitely put out these fires. They're probably starting the fires, Joe.
hundreds of millions of dollars worth of damage going on right now. There's a
Wow.
fire that's bigger than the city of Washington, D.C.
They think they're making those fires. They think that
that's
that's
right.
part of the conspiracy. Anything that happens is always part of the conspiracy.
What-
Oh, these two are disgusting.
Do you think it is? Like, what is it with conspiracies? Like,
Man, this guy.
why are they so attractive to people? There's something going on with people, right?
I'll tell you why, Joe. Because every morning we get up, okay, and we see these lines form in the sky until the sun is completely blocked out every fucking day. So that's why when people are like, hey, do you think they're spraying in the sky? That's why I'm like, yeah, because I can see them doing it every bloody day. That's why. It's not because of some mental. Why are people getting into conspiracy theories? What is it? Is it this generation? Is it this? Is it that? Why are they getting into the fact that there's lines in the sky? Joe, it's the lines in the sky that make us think that there's lines in the sky. I can't put it any simpler than that.
Yeah. I think, I've been looking into this a lot.
Oh,
And
yeah, I trust this guy.
Have, especially since you're a government shell.
Well, I'm doing research for the book I'm writing, which
Right.
is called Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and it's about how people get into the rabbit hole and how people get out of the rabbit hole.
Oh,
So
wow.
the whole thing
Right.
is about the rabbit hole, which is something basically people get sucked into. And I think people do a lot of research into the reasons behind people getting into conspiracy theories, like the psychological reasons and the personality reasons and things
Right.
like that. But I think most conspiracy theorists are just regular people. They're just ordinary people who get sucked into something.
So,
why do
see, the way they're framing this, like it's all a load of nonsense. It's all definitely a conspiracy theory. It's a rabbit hole. People are being sucked in, blah, 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 blah. Excuse me, are you going to actually talk about, are you going to give any facts or data or reasoning, or are you just going to pretend like anything we say is a conspiracy theory is false, and then we start treating people who are a lunatic who believe anything that we say is a conspiracy theory? They're spraying shit out the back of the airplanes. I know they are. Everyone knows they are. It's obvious they are. Okay? These guys are annoying.
How do you think that is?
Just from talking to them, they tell me like their origin stories, essentially, and they tell me what happened to them when they got into conspiracy theories. And it nearly always starts with them looking at some video. Nowadays,
Yes.
it starts with them looking at some video,
No, it starts with us looking at the sky and going, they're spraying us.
and then they just get sucked in.
Yeah.
And then they start looking at another video and another video and another video. And Facebook and YouTube is feeding them these videos because once you start going down that road.
Why is it that, let me ask you a question, Guy. Why is it, if these videos are so fake and they're so false and they're so made up, why is it that people keep watching them and engaging with them? I'll tell you why. It's because when they watch what's going on outside the window and then they watch a video that resonates because they're like, oh yeah, that's exactly what's happening. They go, oh, this seems like it's true. And then they find out another one's true and another one that's true. It's not because they're so made up that people keep getting involved with them. It's because they're unmade up.
You just can't change your trajectory.
Right. It's hard to train.
Yeah.
I mean, YouTube, since they instigated this autoplay thing, or instituted this autoplay thing, or the next video plays immediately and they're all related.
Yeah.
Here we go. It's going to be like, oh, it's the algorithm that's making people conspiracy theorists because that shows them a video that's just like the video that they watched. Oh no, yikes. Piss off, man. It's because this people are being lied to so much and they're starting to wake up. That's why.
I think that's definitely been a thing with people. And also like the suggestions on the right-hand side, if you're watching one video on a particular subject.
Yeah, I was doing some experiments with that. I set up like a completely blank YouTube account and I would just go in there and type in one thing like contrails.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, when you look at contrails on YouTube, like half the videos you're going to get are going to be chemtrail videos.
Right.
And so if the first video you click on is a chemtrail video, then that just sets you down that road.
Well, I remember this was in the days, I think, before YouTube.
Let me ask you a question, bro. Why do you think there are so many chemtrail videos? Why do you think there are so many videos of people going, look at these lines that are forming in the sky and becoming clouds, etc., etc.? I'll tell you why. Because it's going on all over the place. Because there's chemtrails everywhere, man. That's why people are getting into it. It's not because of an algorithm. It's because of what they can see with their eyes.
This is in the days when maybe YouTube was around, but it just wasn't that popular. I remember me and my friend Eddie were high as fuck.
I've not seen that yet.
And we're talking to my neighbor, and there was some plane that was flying over, and we were wondering why the clouds coming from behind this plane stood so long.
Wow.
And so I asked him. I used to have this neighbor. I used to call him Bling Bling, because Bling Bling was incapable of talking about anything other than objects. Like, all we talk about, that's a nice car. Is that a new car? Where'd you get that watch? Like, that was Bling Bling. All Bling Bling wanted to talk about is like material possessions. so he and I were parked in front of his. I was saying hi to him, and I said, "Hey man, do you remember clouds like sticking around in the sky that long?" And he's like, "No, I don't know. Is that a new truck?" And like, I just remember how ironic it was because I had told Eddie about Bling Bling. You know, that like this is all this guy cares about and wants to talk about, and then he did that while we were out there. But I remember thinking, man, how weird would it be if all of a sudden clouds from jet engines started appearing and it just appeared right before our eyes and we hadn't noticed it. But I wasn't sold. It didn't make any sense to me.
Why is that?
Because my thought on it was the amount of people that had to be involved. You're talking about all these different airplanes, get all these people to keep their mouth shut. These are they're pilots, right? So they're not making shit tons of money, and they live here too. That's the other thing. Like,
are they pilots? Are they pilots or are they drones? Like, what's doing it? Is there pilots up there? I don't know. Do they mix stuff in with the fuel? I don't know. How many people would need to be on this? I don't know. I don't know, but I know that they're doing it. I know it's called solar radiation management. I know it comes out of Harvard University. And I know what I see with my own bloody eyes, and it's happening every day.
They're actually spraying something in the sky. They live here too. Like, what are they spraying themselves?
Well, the theory now is that it's basically the power elite in the country is doing these chemtrails as a kind of last-ditch attempt to maintain power before the entire world collapses into chaos. So they think it's kind of like a desperate situation.
A power grab.
Well, not exactly. It's they're hanging on to have their kind of last hurrah. Like really, they feel like the end of the world is nigh. Like, you know, there's about to be this environmental disaster, and the chemtrails are the only thing that is holding everything together. That's the thing that you get if you go to, like, you know, Geoengineering Watch, that Dane Whittington guy. He's basically an apocalyptic prophet now. He's basically preaching about how everything is going to end soon, and the chemtrails are the only thing that's stopping it, but they're also making it worse. So he's kind of saying, like, you know, the chemtrails are helping, but
Well, I thought the chemtrails didn't exist, man.
We got to stop them, otherwise they'll make it even worse. But we're pretty much all going to die either way.
Yeah, there's a lot of money, and we're going to die. There's a lot of people that love that trope. It's just like something that gets carted out constantly throughout history, because it's true. You are going to die. It's like, when are you going to die? You don't know. So because you don't know, you're freaking out. Like, is it going to be a car accident? Is it going to be a fire?
What are chemtrails meant to achieve? I think it's just part of poisoning us, making us sick. I think they're just spraying us with toxic chemicals to make us sick. You know, it's like, what is the fluoride in the water hoping to achieve? It's to make you sick, to make you ill. You know, what's the 5G for? To make you sick, to make you ill. Like, you know, why are they genetically modifying the food? You know, to make you sick, to make you ill, you know? And God made all these things. God made the air and the water and the food, and they just want to corrupt it and mess it up.
Is it going to be an earthquake? Is it going to be a slow aging death? Or is it going to be the chemtrails? Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, I think that type of thing, like fear of dying, is one of those fundamental things.
Right.
That you know, every human is hardwired with certain things that that happens in their brain without them thinking about, and fear of dying and fear of other things, fear of, you know, fear of wolves or whatever, something that's hardwired, and that's the type of thing that leads to different types of thinking that you know, you end up being a conspiracy theorist in part because your brain is
This guy's one
wired that
slimy
way.
dude.
You had a
bro.
great quote about chemtrails when we did that television show together. You said chemtrails are like the training wheels for conspiracy theorists.
Yeah.
Because they're like they're right above your head, and you just like you see them right there. For people who don't,
They are there, Joe. They are right above our heads. Yeah. Every day. Non-stop. Isn't that funny? Like, I barely see the sun anymore. And this jerk is going to go on TV and tell me that I'm some idiot, some weirdo, some fool, because I've noticed.
don't understand why jets produce clouds. Please explain that, because it's very simple.
It is very simple.
Please explain that, because it's very simple. You know, see how they're on the same team?
Jet engines have water in their exhaust. If you look at a car on a cold day and you see the exhaust coming out of the tailpipe, you'll see like a cloud of condensation sometimes, and you'll see some water coming out. And when the exact same thing happens with jet engines. And when that exhaust hits the cold air, it condenses, it freezes, it makes a cloud. And contrails are essentially clouds. They're exactly the same physically as a regular cirrus cloud.
And it's
So contrails are real then?
dependent upon the amount of moisture in the atmosphere, and you can actually monitor it online.
Yeah.
NASA actually has a website that will
Oh,
show
NASA.
you, and I believe it's set up for pilots, right? Is that what the air traffic people?
NASA actually has a contrail forecasting site,
Right.
which isn't really for
Interesting.
pilots
Anything?
or anything. It's just part of their contrail research. But yeah,
Contrail
they have a site
research.
where it'll predict like, where the
NASA.
contrails are going to be. But you can do it yourself. You just got to look up the relative humidity at a certain altitude. There's lots of different sites you can go to. I've got a whole bunch of them listed on Metabunk.
And just like the
Metabunk.
clouds vary in the sky, all the amount of moisture varies in the sky as
Exactly.
well, which is one of the reasons why you will see a jet pass through one area and you will see a contrail, and then it almost looks like they shut the contrail jets off.
Wow, that's incredible.
And then you see it pick up maybe a couple hundred yards later.
Yeah, and that's when you say like a cloud, it's really exactly the same as a cloud.
That's why sometimes you can see that it looks as though they've sort of switched off the chemtrails, but they haven't. What's happened is the atmosphere outside the aircraft has changed. Sometimes it can even look like they've turned off the chemtrails.
If you look at any picture of a cloudy day and then just remove all the clouds, but they're still there as invisible clouds, then when the plane comes along, it's almost like the plane is this magic pen revealing these invisible clouds. Because all a cloud is a region of the sky where the humidity is above a certain level. So you know that the humidity is pretty patchy across the sky because like there's a cloud here and right next to it there's no cloud. So where the cloud is, it's high humidity. Where the cloud isn't, it's low humidity. But if both of those were just lowered like 10%, then you get no clouds at all. Then a plane comes along, it raises the humidity in the cloud area and in the non-cloud area. But this
Plane raises
area, because it was a bit higher, you get a trail forming, and this area you get no trail forming. So it's exactly the same as invisible clouds.
Yeah.
This guy sounds like a bullshitter to me.
And for people that are watching it and you're looking up, you think they're spraying something if you're conspiracy minded. And because of a lot of the videos that are out there, in particular, two that were recommended to me are what in the hell are they spraying? Right. So I got to meet with that guy that made those documentaries, and right away I knew something was wrong. Like he's either on Adderall or something. He's just like real edgy,
wow, that's
speeded
nice
up, and just an odd guy. Which is like a lot of people that are
character assassination. Got it.
Conspiratorially minded. They seem to be like they're nervous and agitated, and when we went over like why he think one of the things that he was talking about was the soil samples and water samples, and that they've detected all this aluminum and barium in water. And particularly aluminum. And he's like showing me all these results that he had. But even on the very results that he showed me, it said sludge. Like he had sent them out for testing. And I said, well, what did you send? And he goes, well, I sent some water from these, ponds. And I said, but it says sludge on your testing. And he said, no, but it was water. I go, okay, but the lab said it's sludge. I go, what is sludge? He goes, well, I don't know what sludge is exactly. I go, well, let's look. Sludge is a combination of water and dirt. Okay, so you sent water and dirt. So do you know that aluminum is one of the most common metals on Earth? And you could basically scoop up a patch of dirt pretty much anywhere and find a bunch of aluminum in it. It's really, really common in trace amounts. I go, so what?
Isn't that funny that the ball is those two elements of the periodic table put together?
You did is you tested dirt and it tested positive for being dirt. I mean, that's exactly what it is. And the guy was kind of freaking out. I'm like, how did you not put this together yourself? Like, if you're the guy who's making this video and you're trying to find...
Wow, man, this guy is a piece of work, Joe. He's going in on videos and documentary makers of people that are exposing this and just sort of, doing a hit job on them for the government, essentially.
Find a reason
this
why you could, some facts that you could throw at people. We could say, hey, look, the government is definitely spraying things in the sky. They're spraying aluminum. Look, we found the aluminum and we found it in the water. It's
talk about the barium
water supply. It's going to get in your body. It's going to poison you. Look, we found it in the water. How the fuck did he not look at it himself is what I was thinking. And when me and him were having this conversation, I realized, like, you have these people that go down they're not open-minded in regards to these subjects. They go down a very narrow road, and that road is the government is doing something to me. I need to find out what it is.
Yeah, and they're really motivated to actually find evidence.
Yes.
So that they're trying to find something, and actually trying to find an alternative explanation isn't really that attractive.
No, dude. This is not. You're not describing everyone that believes in chemtrails. The people who now believe in chemtrails are regular, everyday people who are fed up with there being no sun every single day. And they're also fed up with looking at the sky and it's like noughts and crosses, man. That was never the case when I was a kid. When I was growing up, the sky was never like crossing grid lines and stuff. And there was never this chemical haze you could see everywhere. Things have definitely changed. These guys are gross. This is so annoying. I can't believe that I used to actually I think I can remember watching this clip before and being completely taken in by it. You know? I'm sure that I can remember watching this and thinking, "Oh, yeah, those crazy chemtrail guys. Man, thanks, Joe." Why doesn't Joe challenge him? I think they're both in on it, basically. Now that I know what I know about the Joe Rogan podcast, how come, sheepdog? I mean, obviously, there's only limited things we can talk about on YouTube, for example. Even the most asleep normie will admit to me that the skies didn't used to be like this. Yeah. I watched that video about how it's funded, by that young guy. It was like a 4-hour video about all the funding and how young Jamie is like dad's in the military and stuff, and you know how staged most of it is, and since the trigonometry boys were on Joe Rogan, right? When the trigonometry boys are on Joe Rogan, I'm like, oh, I know exactly what this is now. Since I found out that the Joe Rogan podcast has a booker, it's not just Joe and young Jamie. It's got a booker, some woke. The link was on my Telegram a while ago. If anyone can find it, it was this young guy. He did a big, big video about all his research on Joe Rogan. It was really interesting. Has anyone got that? The link to that? I shared it on my Telegram ages ago. We watched it on a live stream. I'm not sure where it is now, though. That video is the thing. Yes, Oliver's going to hunt it out. I'd like to watch a bit more of it on this stream, but it might take you a while to find it. It was a while ago. It wasn't that recent, but I can't remember exactly how long ago, or even ballpark how long ago. What was it about? It was just this big, like, research video into Joe Rogan and who funds him and how he's not, what he appears to be, basically. It was interesting. Joe Rogan had Mick West on to debunk 9/11 truth, but never had on any of the architects and engineers speaking the truth. Really? I'll send me the link for that one. A weather woman on Twitter trying and failing to explain the chemtrails away. Well, on like a weather channel on the TV or just like on the news when they talk about the weather? Dude, it's unbelievable how many women on TV and in music and fashion are men. Like when I look at actors and actresses and stuff, I'm like, wow. I'll list who I think is a man. Zendaya, I think she's a man. Dua Lipa, I think she's a man. Jennifer Lopez, I think is a man. Jennifer Aniston, I think is a man. Um, who else do I think is a man? Julia Roberts, I think is a man. Who else do I think is a man? It's quite a long list, actually. Who else do I think is a man? Beyonce isn't one that I actually think is a man. Michelle Obama, obviously, but you know, there's loads more. Oh, Taylor Swift, I think is a man. Sandra Bullock, yeah, sure. Ellen DeGeneres, probably a man. Um, oh, Megan the Stallion, man. Lady Gaga, obvious man. Obvious man. Yeah, because as they age, Jamie Lee Curtis, man. As they age, it gets real obvious, man. Have I said Julia Roberts? Yeah, I have actually. Here it is, Alistair. Nice. How do I get that on the live streaming? Oh, I've got to go back through the chat. Hang on. Here it is. Right. Ah, this is funny. Thank you. Where's my Streamlabs? Here it is.
There's a little bit of a haze on the sun at times. That means when the sky goes from blue to white. So that's what we call hazy sunshine. That's cirrus cloud. It's up at about 25,000 feet, around where the jet airplanes are flying. And then that's how you get those little contrails in the sky breaking up the blue sky there. There's a little bit of a haze on the sun at times. That means when the sky goes from blue to white.
She can't even get her words out. She's completely BSing. She can't even get her words out. This is funny.
There's a little bit of a haze on the sun at times. That means when the sky goes from blue to white. So that's what we call hazy sunshine.
When the sky goes from blue to white.
And that's cirrus cloud. It's up at about 25,000 feet.
Cloud that's at 25,000 feet. I wonder how it would get that high.
Around where the jet airplanes are flying. And then that's how you get those little contrails in the sky breaking up the blue sky there.
Oh, man, that's funny. Maybe that works on little children, but for adults looking at the sky and noticing it's a bizarre reflective haze, after watching planes fill the sky with chemicals, they know it isn't normal. Why aren't any of the politicians saying a single word about it? Because they're all corrupt. Huh. That's interesting. That is interesting. Some links in the Telegram chat, eh? Can't find any. Oh, Joe Rogan stuff. You see about this one. Chemtrails, here is your proof. Okay, fine. Must watch. Let's do it.
Thank you very much. I'm Richard Jordan, chairman of the conference. I'm going to just introduce Khalid Dawood, who will introduce the speakers. So Khalid, thank you very much for moderating this session, and I turn it over to you, and I will return in about 3 minutes.
So our next speaker is Dr. Rosalind Peterson. She's the California president and co-founder of the Agriculture Defense Coalition, formed in 2006 to protect agricultural crop production from uncontrolled experimental weather modification programs. A very interesting topic, you know, for a non-specialized person like myself. But also very interesting in her CV that we have with you is also her extensive efforts to protect drinking water supplies from toxic chemical contamination in Martinez, California. That's a very interesting topic, of course, and I was actually wondering myself whether you can tackle whether the same experiments that you're holding in California could be extended to other world countries, particularly poor and developed countries like where we come from. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chairman. It is a pleasure to be here to speak with all of you today. One of the things that I would like to say is that we are in a global drumbeat right at the moment, talking about climate change and global warming. One of the things that is affected by climate change is agriculture.
9 years ago.
But some of what we
This
are
is.
seeing is man-made, but man-made in a different way than you may guess. Weather modification programs, experimental ones done by private companies, done by the United States government, done by states across the United States are underway. There's more than 50 of them in operation across the United States. All of these impact agriculture because they change the microclimates needed for agriculture to survive. None of these programs that I know of today, and this is all public record, are available at any time with oversight, agricultural oversight or public oversight. These programs impact agriculture, and there are programs around the world. International corporations are modifying our weather all the time, and they're modifying it in ways that cover thousands and thousands of square miles. Most of it is chemically altered, so that what happens is that we are putting chemicals, ground-based chemicals that are shot into the air, or chemicals coming from airplanes that change and modify our weather. So one of the things that I'm concerned about and that we need to address in the future is how these programs are impacting microclimates needed for our crops to survive and needed for pollination. If we change the growing season, the pollinators may not survive, and also our crops, our flowers, and our tree crops may not get the pollination needed. So one of my areas is looking at this situation to see if we can begin to put under control experimental and other types of weather modification programs. The other issue is that a lot of times we're talking about mitigation for climate change. It's rather an undefined term at this period of time. And so what happens is that many times we're talking about artificially putting chemicals like sulfur or particulates into the atmosphere in what they call geoengineering schemes to reduce and help the planet, supposedly, but help the planet to not go through such a tremendous global climate change and to mitigate global warming. However, the incidence of putting chemicals into our atmosphere is going to change and impact agricultural crop production. And if you take and you put up into our skies chemicals to reduce the amount of sunlight reaching the earth, you are going to begin to reduce crop production. Studies at the University of Illinois on corn crop production show reductions. Without the process of photosynthesis, whereby plants from direct sunlight gain the energy to grow, to produce crops, we are going to find ourselves, if we mitigate in that direction, impacting the crop production, not only here in the United States, but worldwide. One of the things that is impacting crop production right now in the United States and reducing photosynthesis and also impacting the ability of solar power panels to generate the type of power that they should is persistent jet contrails. NASA talks about persistent jet contrails as exacerbating global warming because they trap warmth in the atmosphere when they produce cirrus and man-made clouds. NASA also talks about that that these aircraft leaving persistent contrails are changing our climate. And when they change our climate to the degree that one jet can leave a persistent jet contrail, which will spread across our skies from what this picture up here on my left on the screen looks like, which is a trail left by a jet, that trail can expand to 4,000 kilometers and last for 20 hours. This was unheard of in the early 60s and the 70s, and it wasn't until the late 1980s that there was a change and we started to have persistent jet contrails that persist. NASA studies show that part of our global warming problem could be attributed to these types of contrails and the jets that leave them. So one of the issues as we go through is, how do you like your skies, natural or man-made? And right now we are making man-made clouds, and this is trapping warmth in our atmosphere. The climate change that is produced by these jets, not all jets, mostly some non-commercial, but what happens to our skies is that we start to see the changes. The man-made clouds do trap the warmth and they increase the humidity. This allows for pests to proliferate, diseases, molds, mildews, funguses, and viruses. This is a man-made cloud, ladies and gentlemen, and these pictures I took myself over Northern California, and this is a burst. This is where a jet left a huge plume, and then this turned in at the end of it to a burst, and this is not normal, never seen before in our county historically, and I was born and raised there. This is another picture showing the jet trail just before the burst. This is our skies, and I want you to know that what you're seeing now, a lot of times many scientists know, especially at NASA and in other areas, that the skies that we're seeing are not normal cloud formations. These are man-made. And what happens as we reduce the amount of sunlight in a form of global dimming, we reduce the solar power with these type of clouds, and we reduce photosynthesis, which is going to impact agriculture. The pictures look odd. The formations don't look like normal clouds that people have seen before historically. This is another type of man-made cloud, and what we have done and what you're seeing here is we have the photographs from the times that the jet leaves the first trail as a thin, spindly trail to where they form into these different types of cloud formations. All of you can start looking up and seeing this. What happens is that there are experiments, and there's a color, you can see some color.
This lady gets
in this
it.
photograph. And part of what we're doing also is we're sending up canisters. The United States government, NASA, the US Air Force, is sending up canisters into the atmosphere filled with chemicals to modify and experiment with our ionosphere. And when we modify and experiment with our ionosphere up here, we create experiments which they can see through these persistent jet contrails as they stay in the sky for long periods of time, and they can watch the experiments. The type of chemicals they are using are aluminum, barium, strontium, and these canisters
you hear that,
are
Joe?
sent up on rockets, and what they do is they superheat the canisters to create experiments in our atmosphere. The experiments can give you colorful auroras, which they talk about as being wonderful. Many times people think that the auroras in Alaska and the ones we see are normal, but there's beginning to be more and more seen across the United States and elsewhere where aluminum, trimethyl aluminum experiments to make clouds are beginning to impact us. The reason I am concerned for agriculture is that none of these experiments have any public oversight nor agricultural oversight. Our drinking water is impacted because the chemicals are now beginning to show up in our drinking water. In California, the State Department of Health drinking water tests were examined between 1970 and this year, and we found unusual spiking in barium, aluminum, strontium, magnesium, calcium, manganese, and all of these spiked at the same time in various drinking water supplies across the state of
What do you
California.
think about that, Joe?
And also in Arizona.
Can't wait
So what's
to hear
happening
Joe
with
Rogan
these
tell me that this
atmospheric
lady is a
tests is that
conspiracy theory and a
aluminum, as
weirdo
one
and
example, gets into,
hacked up
with
on
increased
Adderall.
pollution and acid rain, gets into the root systems of our crop trees and our trees, and it looks like the trees are dying of drought, but they're not. What happens is that the root systems can no longer absorb the water and the nutrients needed to survive. Many of our forests in Redding, California and other areas are dying. The oak trees, the redwood trees, the Douglas fir across the United States, many areas. We believe that these trees are impacted because they cannot absorb enough water because aluminum is going into their root systems. Also molds, mildew, and fungus from warmer temperatures produced by persistent jet contrails are also allowing pests and molds to proliferate, also impacting tree health and crop health. The skies that you see up here, it is important to note, have a white haze to them. When crossing the United States 2 days ago, we saw this man-made produced haze all the way across the United States. There were a few real clouds. We saw the persistent jet contrails from the jet windows, and the skies in the white haze looked a lot like this. So one of the things that we need to really look at is that jet fuel emissions contaminate our air, much as automobile exhaust. They know from scientific studies back in the 1970s that they deplete beneficial ozone in the atmosphere by releasing nitric acid. So one of the things that we need to look at is the impact of just jet fuel and just the emissions from jets as well. I want to go on
People
and
just look
talk
bored.
briefly about a couple of issues here that I think are important for everyone to realize. If we don't look at the problems that we are creating, the atmospheric testing programs, the jet, in other words, the jet contrails that are warming our climate, and we say to ourselves, we want to geoengineer something else. We want to add more particulates to help global warming or to stop climate change. What we're going to have is we're going to have a pea soup up there of chemicals, which are going to be detrimental to our health. It is much better to take the EPA model of the 1970s, where the Environmental Protection Agency was designed to put in regulations to reduce the pollution at its source, to reduce and put caps on how much pollution corporations, cars, automobiles were putting into the atmosphere. One of the things that we're talking about as mitigation is to go into geoengineering plans which add more chemicals to our atmosphere, which are going to get into our drinking water supplies, which are going to get into our soils, which are going to impact our trees. Our trees across the United States, many of them in many areas, especially Mendocino, Lake, and Sonoma County, are dying. They are not healthy as they used to be. And this problem, having traveled across the United States into some other areas, seeing the pictures
Trees
coming
are taking
in
up
from across
aluminium.
the United
Forest
States
fires.
pardon me,
Firefighters
and other
have spoken out
countries,
and have been
we're
silent.
finding that there's beginning to be an impact from all of these programs and all the chemicals in our skies. And so one of the things we need to think about and work for is reducing pollution. Alan Buckman from the California State Department in Fish and Game talked about microbes, and they're important to the environment. We have at our disposal already some technologies and already the wherewithal to begin to make the planet more healthy and to put it into a different perspective. But if we go to the geoengineering
These are the
schemes
good
that are
vibes.
waiting in the wings, thousands of them, to put the particulates up and sulfur, then we are going to be in trouble with agriculture across
Indeed.
the United States and around the world. It is time that we look at some different solutions that are already here. And it's time that we look at what's happening in our skies and say we don't need to add any more chemicals. We are doing enough. And what these experiments in our skies are doing with atmospheric
They're
heating
not
and
always
testing,
black filling.
we don't know. But the chemicals are showing up in our drinking water. So in closing, I would like to say to all of you and to encourage you to know that just what I showed you today is beginning to impact crop production in the United States.
Good
And we're seeing
vibes.
higher UV radiation that is
Whoa,
burning the tips of our
whoa,
trees
whoa.
and our
Good
plants.
vibes, yeah.
We see the molds and mildews growing here.
Chemtrails.
And we see all of this. And we hope that all of you will
Chemtrails,
consider
yeah.
before you think of mitigation and just go forward with
Looking at
some of
the
the plans
chemtrails.
that are
Whoa,
being
whoa,
sold to you
whoa.
as
Looking at the
almost a cap
chemtrails,
and
yeah.
trade situation,
Ooh.
where a corporation like Planktos decides to put iron
Sometimes the
into
chemtrails
the
get kind of
Galapagos Islands
poisonous.
area. This is a proposal, may have already started, and to
She's pretty
create algae
monotone, this
blooms.
lady, you know.
And yes,
The
they're
chemtrails
saying, yes,
are
we're
in the
going to
air.
help the
They make
environment
you
because
sick.
we're going to create these algae blooms with for
And
more
they're going to
oxygen.
create the
But
algae
what
blooms.
happens
You
is
know?
it's going to impact the marine life in those areas. As a geoengineering
Nobody listened to this
plan,
lady.
it is going to be
Talking
sold.
about the
The
chemtrails.
credits for this,
Talking about the
supposed
chemtrails,
benefits,
yeah.
is to be sold to as credits to people who want to pollute more. And here's the really awful twist to this, in my opinion, is if we sell pollution credits to polluters to ask them so that they can pollute more, we're only going to add more to our climate change and to our global warming processes. We have to say, no, we don't want money market schemes that are going to go into the ocean and
Sending me to
change
sleep as
something
well.
possibly to the detriment of our oceans or our air,
Wait a minute,
in order to sell credits
what?
to someone who wants to pollute.
That's enough of that. You get the idea. Chemtrails are real. Good vibes. Legoland has been bastardized by the rainbow. What does that mean? What's happened to Legoland? Jules says that's enough. It's enough. It is enough, though, to be fair. Oh, okay. Is Pride really still a month of that shit? Is there really another month of that coming? Oh, it's always worse every year. Oh my gosh. There was a Lego Pride March. Miniland. Trans figures in the Lego shop, man. Good vibes. I remember Monkey Works. A channel watching Skyglass. He does cloud seeding sections and shows you who. That's interesting. That is interesting. I remember Monkey Works. I remember watching him during the Trump Biden thing, you know, when it was like, this is a military plane and the president's flying over the this and the that. Yeah, it's a good channel. Good channel. Anyway, listen, I think that is pretty much all the good vibes anyone could stand for today. What should we finish on this? No, that's the beginning one. We'll finish with, there you go. This is the end of stream music here. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Hi, Jules. Thank you, everyone. See you, Lewis. See you, Peter. Wiggy. Oh, thanks, Sal. Trying my best. Appreciate your support. See you tomorrow, folks. Peace.